Okay, friends, we are live. Good to see you on this Thursday afternoon. Rusty McCranie with you here, tracking severe storms across portions of Central Florida. Got to be one of those days, friends, where we're going to have some active weather across the area. Good to see you here as we get this started. As always, CFLW sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. You go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. You can see their logo at the bottom of your screen. So, joining you live on this Thursday afternoon as we're tracking one severe thunderstorm right now, right in the heart of Central Florida. That'll be working its way across the I-4 corridor here. So right now we have the opportunity that this storm near the Lockhart area is producing potentially up to some half-inch size hail as it moves across 441, getting towards Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, maybe Baldwin Park, Winter Springs, Wekiva Springs, the southern sides of Apopka. Again, tracking off towards the east. Let's take a look at this here as it works its way off kind of to the south and to the east right now, but just building east overall. Some of the times of arrival, 5:27 in Lockhart, 5:44 in Eatonville, Maitland coming in at 5:50. We'll look at the actual advisory right now from the National Weather Service out of Melbourne, and this is what they're talking about. Severe thunderstorm warning, west central Seminole County, northwest orange until 5:30. Severe thunderstorm near Apopka moving east. They've got it 60 and some quarter-size hail, so you're getting close to inch-size hail. Radar indicated hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roof, siding, and trees. Orlando, northern sides, Apopka, Altamont Springs, Ocoee, and Lockhart all included in this severe thunderstorm warning. But this is not the only game in town, friends. It's going to be an active day here across the area. The Melbourne radar has been doing a little bit of funky stuff here, but just keep switching back and forth. But this won't be the only severe weather that we have today. We've got the opportunity across I-4 to I-95 as we go through the remainder of this Thursday to have more clusters of severe storms. We already have some storms developing over Daytona Beach, towards the Edgewater area, Titusville as well. Let me bring on the composite radar here and loop this up for you guys over the last couple of hours here. And you'll kind of see how this has evolved so far. Now, we have more energy coming out of the Gulf. Storms are flaring up right now, and boy, we got hit pretty hard late yesterday and even the evening and overnight hours. Mainly non-severe storms, but they were pretty rowdy. But storms are already up to Savannah as well, and they're going to fill in across I-95 and I-4 the remainder of the afternoon and the evening hours. So it's going to be an active day for you here, guys. Looking at the risk from the Storm Prediction Center, they've upgraded portions of our area to a slight risk. So pretty much everywhere outside of the Tampa-St. Pete area is under some form of a risk for severe storms the remainder of this Thursday. The yellow area is your highest risk, so that's the slight risk at 2 out of 5. For our area, we're just going to follow I-95 from Jacksonville to St. Augustine, back into Flagler, Volusia, and the northern sides of Brevard County. It does go inland to include Orlando, all right? Then the eastern sides of Orange County, Seminole County, the eastern sides of Lake County, again, all of Volusia County as well, eastern sides of Putnam County, and then you've got your green marginal risk, 1 out of 5, that encompasses almost everyone else, goes all the way down towards Lake Okeechobee. So again, it's the opportunity to see some stronger severe storms in the coming hours as well. So we'll go back over to the radar here, and again, live out of Melbourne for you right now. Severe thunderstorm warning goes for the next 7 minutes. They had a special weather statement on there, and again, they upgraded it to the severe thunderstorm warning, so I'll get rid of that. Again, you can clearly see 60-mile-an-hour winds and some inch-size hail. Storms are beginning to overspread the Sanford, Lake Mary area, Winter Springs, Castleberry, Altamont, Maitland. Really heavy rain, blinding rain. Horrible time of the day for this to be happening when we're talking about trying to get home from work, right? Really slowing things down right now in this area. So, the 414 in Maitland and the 436 and the 426 in the Winter Park, all bad news here, right? So, 429 and then the 434 as well. These are areas that are going to be very heavily congested at the 5 o'clock hour, and we have a severe thunderstorm developing over this. And again, right now, the most intense part is going to be right over the Lockhart area. southern sides of Apopka moving into Forest City, Fairview Shores, Eatonville, Altamont Springs, and the Maitland areas as well. So again, just kind of tracking this out from where the most intense spot is right now. We expect it to get to Forest City at 5:44 and then eventually Altamont Springs at 6 o'clock. Relatively slow moving storm. Doesn't have a lot of forward speed to it right now, just east at 10 miles an hour. So buckets of rain developing out of that. There's another cell up here. It's not severe right now, but it's over Lake Mary. It's going to also try and track over 1792, and you can see that it might try and drift, back over the 417 towards Oviedo, kind of in between Oviedo and the southern sides of Sanford. And anywhere within that, there is the opportunity that there could even be a little bit of hail. And as a matter of fact, really intense rainfall over the Lake Mary area and the I-4 corridor there. But, this is just kind of one cluster. We had some pretty nasty storms over Polk County and the Davenport, Haines City area as well. And then additional showers and storms are developing at the hour. Non-severe, at least at this point in time, Titusville, Mims, and then back up to interior sections of Volusia County, right now along and just west of I-95. These are all areas that are going to be prone for more severe storms a little bit later on. Yikes. The wife tells me the corporate 5K in downtown Orlando. Yeah, I don't know about that. Stay indoors if you can. Not a great afternoon to be doing that. I mean, first of all, again, rain, true. Lightning is an issue. You can see the new lightning strikes coming on here live here at CFLW right over the Eatonville area. And again, that's, it's real close to Lake Nona. I wouldn't want to be venturing out right now because if anything, this whole complex is expanding, right? This whole area is expanding. Right now it goes from Sanford and it's pretty rock solid all the way towards the 408 in downtown Orlando, but additional showers are going to be developing over time as well. All right, that's the overview. And great to see you guys, by the way, on this Thursday afternoon. Again, we're live here in CFLW covering the active severe thunderstorms for you guys. Do me a quick favor, like this live stream. Thank you for supporting the channel in that way as well. Let's get into our cameras. We'll start off with Lake Conway. This is south and east of downtown Orlando, looking to the east. All the bad weather is just north of this camera or just left of this, but you can see the ominous dark gray sky here over Lake Conway. And again, more than likely, these thunderstorms will expand over this area in the next hour or two. So a little bit of a fresh breeze over the lake, but right now we're dry. In Winter Garden we go. This is the western side of Orange County. We have developing clouds and a few storms trying to get going in the far western sides of Orange County. Again, just to the north of this camera is where we have the worst weather, but you can clearly see the storms beginning to develop across the western sides of Orange County, in Ocoee. And even in downtown Winter Garden right now, then up to 429, the weather is getting more active. To Disney we go. You're looking 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom from this camera. We are looking back to the south and west towards the Disney property. Again, thicker gray skies at this point in time, just more overcast than anything else. But again, these thunderstorms should probably expand in nature here and move across the area. Now, just like yesterday, a fair amount of this will probably not be severe, but we have the opportunity to see these storms pulse up with your main threats. Again, 60+ mile-an-hour winds and up to inch-sized hail. Now, you get to inch-sized hail, friends, you are talking about potential damage to the car. So if you have an opportunity, right, to get the cars indoors before some of these storms move over your area, probably a pretty good idea. Just keep them safe if you can. Hopefully nothing too large as far as the hail sides go, but that's something I'll be watching. Now, the interesting thing is that this warning should be allowed to expire at 5:30. Right now, the most active weather is not over that warning area. What I think is going to be interesting is I think the Weather Service is going to have to decide where they might want to issue a next warning. Because when I loop this up over the last half hour, you're going to see, if anything else, this is just kind of blossomed and expanded, and it's the southern sides of this that's beginning to kind of take over with some of the heaviest activity at this point in time. Notice that they even cut off the warning on the northern side as this has dropped off to the south. So if we're talking about the corporate 5K over downtown Orlando right now, the weather is just getting worse and worse as the heaviest activity is actually beginning to expand right over the 408. Hey, Farrah, how are you doing? Good afternoon, Sin. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you guys tuning in from all parts of the country, not just here in Central Florida. Love it as well. All right, let's get off of this quick loop here. I think the easiest way to me to reset it is just to do this. All right. And again, we still have a special weather statement. I'm just taking that off because the severe thunderstorm warning is really what matters more. And let me do something else real quick here. Every so often, I just have to reset the view so that we actually get the countdown to come on screen as well, which is what I want. I want as much information on here as you could possibly see. And there you go. So this severe thunderstorm warning is literally going to expire in 20 seconds. So we'll be interested to see if we get an additional severe thunderstorm warning. Look, regardless, look at the rain that has come over the Orlando metro area at a most inopportune time for the drive home. I mean, it's raining cats and dogs right now, blinding rain. Winter Springs, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, Baldwin Park, Azalea Park, as I say, all the parks, Goldenrod, Lockhart, Orlando, Pine Castle, even out towards the 429, even out towards Ocoee right now, we are seeing some heavy rain. Now, Winter Garden, Oakland, that's kind of the delineation line right now, but we'll see if this can back build a little bit south and west. This is what the storms did yesterday, where they back built a little bit west. It was a little bit later in the day, right around sunset that happened. But man, I don't know about your area. I got hammered late yesterday evening, another deluge of rain. And that's the interesting thing. We talked about this on the Monday show, right? I see you guys live Monday and Friday to get you prepared for this, that we have really flipped the script, and now we are into an extremely active pattern, at least through the weekend, where rounds of storms will be coming through, and at any point in time as these storms crop up, there'll be the opportunity for some strong to severe storms. So at this point in time, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. What the Weather Service did is they turned this into a special weather statement, right? So at this point in time, they're not finding winds of 60 and they're not finding hail of an inch in size. And those are the criteria for severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, you notice the south propagation of this storm. So we have our camera here over Lake Conway. We have a camera in Winter Garden, and we'll be monitoring this for you guys here on CFLW. I'm going to stay with you guys, and we're going to at least follow how this will play out in the Metro Orlando area for the time being. But again, if you guys know anyone who's driving home right now, it's going to be a mess. Hope there's not any big accidents. We know how it is. People are anxious to get home, but ponding on roadways with this heavy rain, hydroplaning, it can be an issue. Now, additional storms, again, are developing outside of that. Got the live lightning data here. We've got solid lightning strikes over I-4 in Volusia County, creeping towards the coast, towards Edgewater, just to the west of New Smyrna, but I-95 towards the 415 there in the Osteen area. Really heavy storm there. And, you know, look at that thing. Look, this could be the next severe thunderstorm warning, right? Just in that last volume scan from our live radar out of the Melbourne site, that has really popped up in intensity. So that is either blinding heavy rain or we're starting to get a little bit of hail as a possibility. And of course, we can look at that as well. So I'll go over to our estimated hail size. Looks like at this point in time, the algorithm from the radar is not picking that up. No probability of severe hail right now. So we'll go back over and we'll be monitoring that. But that is certainly a storm that has pulsed up in intensity as it's gotten a little bit closer to I-95. We've got some rain right now over Daytona Beach and Ormond Beach. Just one lightning strike with this. And again, if you follow the top hand side of your screen, whatever view I'm showing you, you're going to see your live lightning count in the past 15 minutes. So obviously, as I pull farther out, you'll see that count go up. We have a special weather statement for portions of Osceola and in Orange counties as well. So again, down towards the Davenport area and south of 192 in Osceola County. It does technically include Kissimmee right now, but at this point in time, not as much of a concern. So again, for this one, Orlando, Altamont Springs, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Winter Park, some of the areas that will be impacted. This is what the actual bulletin is the special weather statement from the Weather Service office in Melbourne. It includes Orange and Seminole counties. Strong thunderstorm to impact those areas through 6 p.m. Tracking is strong thunderstorm Orlando Executive Airport. That is right over downtown Orlando. And by the way, I'll get this a little bit farther like that so you guys can see a little bit more. So the Executive Airport, downtown Orlando, over College Park, moving southeast at 10, winds of 50 and some half-inch size hail. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs, blow around unsecured objects. Minor hail damage is possible. There really is a big difference between half-inch and inch size hail. Let's hope it doesn't crop up any more than that. My radar, the algorithm right here, just near downtown, is actually talking about 3/4 inch size hail. That would be a problem. So from this cell that we're picking up the opportunity for some 3/4 inch size hail, it could drift right over the southern side in downtown Orlando. You can see some of the times of arrival. Lockhart, Eatonville, Winter Park at 6:02, Union Park 6:12, Goldenrod 6:15. Now Delaney Park, which is a beautiful older area of near downtown Orlando with some exceptional homes, could be in the path of this hail. All right, so we'll be monitoring that over the next 24 minutes or so. And again, my system can literally count down to the minute. So for my friends in Delaney Park, based on where this hail core could be, we've got about 28 minutes before it arrives in your area. That's just one area that could have some hail in it. Let's take a look at another one right here. And this one looks a little bit more intense near the Baldwin Park area. That one, again, is also moving off towards the east. You can see the stats right there. And again, the other big thing is this is barely moving right now. 6 miles an hour. So heavy rain, maybe some hail as we speak over the Baldwin Park area, maybe a half-inch in size. Again, moving near the Union Park area and moving south and east right across the 408, which would be awful. Right where the 408 and the 417 interchange. That's not busy at all at 535. These are horrible areas. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Is this not coming my way? Linda, this could potentially build into Brevard County as we go a little bit deeper into this Thursday. This is a day where we could see several different areas and of numerous severe thunderstorm warnings or special weather statements, active weather. And again, you can see that these storms have already built in towards Titusville, and then the storm that I just mentioned now has a special weather statement. So we're just under the criteria again from the Weather Service to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. It's a special weather statement for this area. It's going to include Edgewater, New Smyrna, places like that, Port Orange, New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Bethune Beach, moving east at 14, winds of 50, 1/4 inch size hail. Hopefully no more than that. We can deal with some pea-sized hail. That's not fantastic. Got my Lean Law tumbler, by the way. Going to be sipping on some water. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from. Just like Linda, you have a specific question, let me know. Now that more folks are in here, again, let's kind of break down the situation. This is going to be a pretty active, next few hours across the area. We'll see if these storms will pull us back up to severe criteria, but obviously right now for the drive home, we're getting plagued by a very intense thunderstorm over Orlando. We have other severe weather across I-95. The overall risk from the Storm Prediction Center has actually gone up a notch, all right? Earlier today, it was just kind of the central and the eastern sides of the state, of the peninsula, under the marginal risk, or the dark green of 1 out of 5. But throughout the day, the SPC has ramped it up and increased or spread out this area. So from Savannah all the way back down to the southern sides of Brevard County. So for our area from St. Augustine to Palm Coast and Flagler Beach and Daytona Beach, all the way to the Cape, and then inland, including Pearson and DeLand and Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Altamont Springs, Orlando, in eastern areas of Orange County under the slight risk, 2 out of 5 on the scale. So the storms are developing kind of on the western edge of this slight risk right now, and will more than likely work their way back off towards the east. If I throw on the composite radar, you can kind of see that, right? So right now, the most intense storms are along and into this slight risk area. It does not mean that we won't have storms develop out into Sumter, in the eastern sides of Citrus and Marion and Lake counties, and come back east again. That's what we had last night. They were not severe, but they were intense. And we have, again, another cluster of non-severe but intense storms over portions of Osceola and Polk counties at the hour. But we've got, the juice in the atmosphere today to see storms become fairly widespread. Some of those will be severe. Again, the main threat is going to be winds of over 60 and some inch-size hail. An isolated tornado threat is not out of the question, but the opportunity is not going to be as extreme. Let's go back out to our cameras, to our Conway cam. Again, this storm complex is knocking on the door of Lake Conway. Looking up towards the east here, you can just see again, so we're looking towards the coast, right? And we're starting to see the breeze pick up here in Lake Conway. And this storm should develop and push from left to right on your screen over the next half hour or so. So we'll be monitoring that. Hi, Sherry, how you doing? Watching in East Orange, 50 in Avalon Park. How you doing? I hear them now. They're over me. There you go, Linda. Yep, these storms are going to be pretty widespread across the area. There's no doubt about it. Let's go over to our winter garden camera. Again, at this point in time, kind of more ominous sky than anything else. You can see when we look back off to the west from this camera, we don't have that low deck right here at the ground level, right? We don't have that low deck, but we can clearly see there's a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere here in the sky with what we're seeing over the winter garden area. So we're just kind of south and west from that main complex of storms there. And again, for my friends at the attractions area, live look to Disney, overcast skies, breeze beginning to pick up there. Storms are just to the south of the Disney property. So you'll be monitoring that. And again, friends, you look at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see live conditions out of many areas here in Central Florida, so you can follow close to where you are as we get those live reports updated for you guys. All right, back out to the radar here. And let's do this. We'll reset it like this. And again, looking at the Melbourne radar. So again, at this point in time, no severe thunderstorms, but man, wanted to come on because we did have a severe thunderstorm warning, but this is a bad time of the day to have these storms really getting going. You've got the one here over the Edgewater, I-95 corridor, small hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds. This is drifting east. So New Smyrna, Edgewater, get ready for that. That one's headed your way. This complex of storms here on the route of your side. It's not severe, but it's intense, and it's right over downtown Orlando. So the large areas of Orlando where everyone's trying to get home right now at 5:41, it's a problem. So Azalea Park, you can see those purples, high reflectivity. The opportunity, there could be some small hail there. That's what my computer is saying. If you guys see that green triangle, that is an indication that there's some hail. Now, it's good to see that potentially, more than likely, it's less than a ½ inch in size. So, pea-sized hail, not really even getting to dime. That's not going to hopefully cause a lot of damage, but there's your opportunity, right? As it kind of drifts across the 408, kind of headed right towards the 417. So Dean Road area, south sides of UCF, Alafaya, places like that. Azalea Park is out here too, right? Or is that too far? Am I too far? Oh, there's Avalon Park, excuse me. That's what I was thinking of. So down the road, eventually this could get a little bit closer to Avalon Park here in the east sides of the city. Now, there's another potential hail core right over downtown Orlando. You can almost barely see it. It's right there, okay? So this one, again, might have up to 3/4 inch size hail. Hopefully it's not that intense, but there is an opportunity. And it looks like this hail core might be trying to traverse right over downtown Orlando and I-4 in the next couple of minutes. Again, we're going to put it over I-4 at 5:50. And so we're counting down at about 7 minutes and 20 seconds. So Delaney Park, 5:48. Pine Hills, 5:58. Conway in at 6 o'clock as this pushes south and east. So again, our Conway cam will be monitoring because this storm and maybe some hail could be trying to move a little bit farther south. In general, this sucker is just kind of elongating itself west to east and slowly building off to the south. This is the loop over the last half hour. Certainly a bit of a southeast movement, if anything, right? Most intense on the southern side. but the heavy rain goes all the way up towards Oviedo and the 417 and University Park, Winter Springs as well. Very heavy storms, Orla Vista, Gotha, Pine Hills. Be going down JYP, John Wayne Parkway, OBT as well. Turnpike is 91 on the map. So again, shower even kind of developing on the southern side of this, Metro West, Bay Hill, Dr. Phillips, Tangelo Park. Maybe trying to get a little bit closer to Lake Buena Vista down there as well. Linda, talking about the storm over Brevard County. It's a little one right now, right? But it's picking up too. You see this right here? Again, got a little triangle on it. That's an indication that there might be some hail trying to develop just north of Mims. And there you go, right? Now this, luckily, is pushing into some pretty rural areas when it gets east of US 1. But you can see how quickly some of the storms are going to try and ramp up. Now that one doesn't even have a special weather statement on it. Just to let you guys know, there are going to be marine warnings here. I took them off the map because there's other things going on. But we'll have marine warnings with these storms as they move offshore as well. So you'll have that to deal with for coastal waters off the East Coast. Again, right now we're dry off towards the west. If I go out to the very broad view, we are going to be in store for several more days of extremely active weather. We've really turned the pattern around to get us out of this drought in a hurry. All right. Now we're in an actual situation. We're going to have days and days with prolific showers and storms. And ultimately, we're going to have a flood threat that will be developing across the area. Flash flooding, localized flooding is not out of the question, as we could be piling on inches and inches of rain between now and at least Sunday. The pattern is a very active one. We have what we call an omega block in place. It's like the omega, the Greek omega letter. And so you have a big ridge out in the central part of the United States and a huge trough out east, which allows this energy to dip farther south. Yes, we needed the rain, but it is going to come with the opportunity for some prolific storms every afternoon. And some of that can be lingering into the evening. But you look back out to South Texas and in the Northwest Gulf, and you can see this pattern change and now how all this energy is going to be riding along the northern Gulf Coast states. And so we're in store for, again, days of active weather. I showed you the risk of severe storms today, right? Tomorrow, it looks like this. And this is, by the way, exactly what it looked like earlier today before the SPC upgraded the risk. Same situation, right? East of I-75, I-4, I-95, marginal risk for tomorrow, 1 out of 5. We'll see if it gets upgraded, but it's basically the southeast. And then for Saturday, it's kind of northern areas right now with a generalized thunderstorm risk for everyone. But, you know, we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show at 1 o'clock when I see you guys then. Just the fact that we could be adding up a lot of rain ultimately here in the coming days to obviously help the drought, but also cause some problems to go along with it, including the opportunity for some flash flooding. So these storms down here in Osceola County and portions of Polk, they've come a little bit more congested. Notice that they're not very organized right now, and so they've lost some of their intensity. So we do not have a special weather statement there anymore. That's good news. Let's keep an eye on this storm, again, over Orlando as we speak. And again, if you guys live in Orlando, let me know in the comment section below what you guys are seeing right now. Appreciate that. We've got our cameras. We'll continue to monitor. But again, even outside of this special weather statement, that rain is coming down. Chuliota, Oviedo area, fall of the 417, Lake Jessup, towards the southern sides of, Sanford. Another shower there near Lake Mary. Heavy rain right over Winter Springs. The 434 there. But south sides of this is most intense. Again, right over downtown Orlando, Delaney Park, as we mentioned. And again, still possibility of some hail. Now we can always take a look at the algorithm here to see if there's any hail being reported out of. Basically, when the radar does its scan, it can try and delineate between heavy rain and hail. At this point in time, at least from the radar site out of Melbourne, it's not picking that up, which is good. But sometimes it can't delineate heavy rain from hail, especially the small hail. We could have a lot of small pea-sized hail and the radar wouldn't be able to distinguish that more than likely. So it's not out of the question. Near downtown Orlando right now, we have some smaller hail. Doesn't look to be large in size, but it's a horrible drive right now on the 408. First of all, it's a horrible drive on the 408 at 5 o'clock anyway in Metro Orlando, but all the way towards the Turnpike interchange, but especially towards Orla Vista and Pine Hills and downtown, and then following 408 East all the way to the 417 interchange, the Eastern Beltway. It's just coming down right now. Really, really rough. Yes, Farah, thank you very much for reminding folks. I appreciate my friends in the chat letting me know and letting you guys know again. Yeah, do me a quick favor. Hit the like button on this live stream. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to CFLW, do so as well. Again, quick and simple. As I've mentioned, live only channel. I'm only on when we're talking about some pretty active weather across the area. And right now we've got several clusters of storms that are intense. They're not severe. There was one earlier in western Orange County. But again, we're right on that border with 50-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch size hail here out of this system that slowly is dropping off towards the south. Let's get back to our cameras. Let's see how our Conway cam is doing right now. That might have been a lightning strike. We'll watch it together for us here. Again, that breeze is picked up from time to time, but it does just look like, again, skies are becoming more overcast on the leading edge of that, developing off to the south, right on the edge of probably getting some pretty intense weather here in Conway. We'll see if it plays out. You know, does this storm hold together and get down there? More than likely it will. More than likely it'll expand some heavier rain, but this is also an area that, you know, is under what would probably be the most intense part of this cell if it does come through. Just north of there, could be some smaller size hail out of that. So that's an area to monitor there. Winter garden camera looks like this. Still again, detached bases to the clouds here, just on the far western edge of that complex. We're feeding in moisture, but at this point in time, you get that far west into Orange County and we're okay. Again, for the attractions, there's a storm to your south. We are looking just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom from this camera, and we're looking back south towards the Disney property. Another situation where for those friends who love to head to the attractions and catch the evening when it's a little bit cooler or catch the fireworks shows, one of those evenings that you want to stay weather aware. We'll see how it plays out, but there will be the opportunity for some storms to be around the Lake Buena Vista area even after sunset tonight, just like we had last night. And again, for me, the most intense part of the day came around, 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. Pretty nasty storm, wasn't severe, but I had a heck of a lot of lightning with it and some extremely heavy rain. Again, got hit by some more heavy rain. Enough so where it's like, all right, you know, we need more rain to help this drought out, but this intense rain, you know, it comes with the issue that you get a lot of runoff and you get the flooding potential as well. There's only so much rain that we can handle at once, even in a drought situation, right? Now, again, you're looking at your live lightning count here on the top of your screen. These storms are producing additional lightning strikes as we speak. You'll see those pop on live here on CFLW right there, right across the 408, downtown Orlando. Again, my wife mentioned earlier that there is the corporate 5K. I don't think anyone should be outside running right now, but you get the idea. And you notice again, right here, just west of Azalea Park, that is either blinding intense rain or there's a little bit of hail associated with this. And I believe 15 takes us to Conway. It does. So if you follow State Route 15 right to Conway. So this is where our camera is located. So we'll have to be checking on that camera here fairly frequently. Again, it's not a severe thunderstorm, I will say that, but it could be producing some winds of 50 miles an hour and some half-inch size hail. Hey, Blue Goose. Good evening to you as well. St. Augustine, 82 degrees, 78% humidity. Quite cloudy right now. 1/10 of an inch of rain last night. I had several more inches of rain last night. Got hammered again. Just one of those things. I'll take it. Soaked in pretty well, but again, you got to watch out for the flooding and the runoff. Now, an additional special weather statement. It has a really intense storm. I'm actually a little surprised we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning on this right now. We need to pay a little bit more attention to this storm. Let's get rid of this special marine warning. Look at that, guys. Right over Edgewater. That white is the highest reflectivity that can come out of this radar. That is really intense. 68 dBz. Man, anything over 50 is an intense storm. Upper 60s. Mamma mia. I mean, again, it's kind of shocking that there wouldn't be some hail out of this. Let's check out, again, estimated hail size. Still nothing there. I'm a little surprised that the highest they have is a quarter. Now, again, we're not in the best ice making situation today, but when these intense updrafts get going, it's not out of the question for sure. Just check out the velocity real quick, make sure nothing is squirrely. Again, could there be a little bit of a spin up as it moves offshore? A little bit of a water spout action? It's a possibility. Rotation isn't extreme for today, but it's also not zero. But what an intense storm. Look, southern Edgewater, right? And you can see the grid of Edgewater right here on my street by street level mapping, south Edgewater heading to US 1. That's a rough storm right there. Anyone who lives in Edgewater, you know someone in Edgewater, let them know. Linda, for your storm up here in the Mims-Titusville area, strongest part is now well east of US 1. More moderate rain than anything else there. Not a ton of lightning over that Mims area at this point in time. Again, Winter Springs, Oviedo, Chiliota, towards UCF. Heavy rain. Special weather statement here goes for the next 4 minutes. Another cluster of storms right across I-4. Now again, is this the only game in town? More than likely not. Right? Additional storms could try and redevelop later in the day as well. Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach. A little bit of lightning over that area. St. Augustine is quiet right now. We had some heavier storms over Jacksonville. Now I'm just using the radar out of Melbourne, so I can drop that off real quick, bring on our composite radar, which is going to be all of the NEXRAD sites combined. And again, more energy coming out of the Northeast Gulf. We'll see if that moves on shore. Nasty, nasty storms over Savannah. This whole area is just juiced up right now, guys. And we'll talk about it a little bit here during our live stream, and we'll talk a lot more about it for tomorrow's live show at 1 o'clock. But again, multiple days of strong to severe storms are likely across Central Florida through at least Sunday. Multiple rounds of very heavy rainfall leading to some areas well over 6 inches of rain. I think 6 to 8 plus inches of rain is not out of the question starting today, right now. I mean, we had a couple of inches of rain in some areas yesterday, but 6 to 8 beginning today through Sunday. Again, flood concerns. You snap a finger, you go from drought concerns to flood concerns because now you're getting 4 or 5 days in a row of this really intense stuff. Shout out indeed, Blue Goose. Beautiful area Edgewater is, and a storm over those folks. I want to get back to this Conway cam. Here we go. It's made Conway. Knew it would. So now the storm has drifted far enough south to get into Conway. So again, southeast sides of downtown Orlando. Raining very heavily over Lake Conway right now. A little bit of a breeze, but the wind intensity isn't crazy. It would be hard to see any small hail from this camera. I think we could look at that dock roof, and if we really saw some mutterings there, we might be able to delineate a little bit of hail. Otherwise, it would just have to be so thick that we could really pick it out on the camera from the intense rain that's falling. But, you know, is there an opportunity that there's a little bit of smaller hail coming down right now in Lake Conway or near? It's a possibility, but certainly not large enough to be damaging, right? Annoying hail than anything else. But again, this is why we have our cameras here across portions of Central Florida. And as we've discussed, our goal is to continue to expand our camera network. But you know, your support of the channel allows us to do that. So thank you for liking the live stream. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you would like to directly support the channel, you can do so. There are some ways that you can find in the description below in the video, and I appreciate those who have. And again, that helps to support the technology advancements here at CFLW for you guys, to bring you guys more technology like these live cameras that we've got for you right now. So again, back to Conway. Intense rain, kind of right on the edge of this storm. That's something to kind of watch out for. Winter garden camera, it's a beautiful shot. Now also, this camera is looking off to the west. So look at this palm tree down here. It's a south wind in Winter Garden right now that is being ingested into that larger storm complex just north of Winter Garden. But it's a really interesting sky, right? All of this is actually getting pulled into that system. Detached bases, we call it, right? Nothing is vertically developed here, right? You've got higher, more mid-level bases than anything, but even a little bit in the way of some of that sky that's nice and orange on the horizon there as we look back off to the west. Interesting sky there. Keep an eye out for that. Again, back to Conway. Heavy rain continues to fall. Let's get back out to the radar. Again, love to hear from you guys as well. Appreciate those who have chimed in. Let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from. You got a specific question, you can always let me know in the chat as well. We'll swing back to our live radar as we get towards 6 o'clock. Now again, at this point in time, there are no severe thunderstorm warnings, right? This special weather statement has just been allowed to expire. So it does look like we pulsed up a severe thunderstorm. The storm was intense, but over the last 45 minutes, that intensity has come down a bit. That's good, right? Still a horrible time at 6 o'clock for there to be blinding rain over downtown Orlando or La Vista, now back down I-4 towards the Mall of Millennia and the Turnpike Interchange. That's 91 that you see on your screen there. So JYP, it's not fun, towards Dr. Phillips. Again, if you live in the southern sides of Metro Orlando, some of this more intense activity is coming your way. Now again, get the live sweeps from the Melbourne radar so I can go back and look. Do you guys notice that you don't see any of those triangle icons any longer? That means that the hail potential has really come down. So even over Lake Conway, where we have our camera, where we have the most intense rain, we're not getting any hail signatures to be developing out of this at this point in time. It's good. It's good to see that, right? Winter Springs, Oviedo, heavy rain at this point in time, across 434 towards the Oviedo area and 417, the Eastern Beltway, and then back out towards Chuliota. Very heavy rain there. We continue to see moderate rain over UCF and University Park towards Alafaya. Buffalo and Avalon Park, moderate to heavy rain from time to time. Lightning is going to be most intense right across I-4. Baldwin Park included in that, just off towards the east. Again, count right now 16. It's come down a bit though, right? That's good news. Now this storm here, again, is a very interesting one to have this high of reflectivity and to only have a special marine warning on it. I'm a little surprised. As my youngest would say, not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised. But that's an intense storm there. So New Smyrna, but especially Edgewater, southern sides of Edgewater, US 1, storm moving offshore. Intense storm, northern sides of Brevard County, not severe, mainly east of US 1. So again, pushing offshore. That's good. That's what we want, right? Another intense storm, Osceola, portions of Polk County, not severe. There we go. I don't know if I want to say ask and you shall receive, but it kind of boggled my mind that we didn't have anything on this storm. I mean, you know, the reflectivity that I was seeing on this storm was peaked out. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning now, and it is inch-size hail. And I am concerned that there's inch-size hail falling over the southern sides of Edgewater right now. Maybe just missing the highest density populated areas of Edgewater, but south there on US 1. Pretty decent hail core. Now let's be clear, right? The Weather Service issued this. It includes I-95, but really this storm is already east of I-95. You notice that my system says it's kind of right around Edgewater right now. So really, you know, They probably should have issued this warning about 15 minutes ago, if I'm going to be honest, because it looked to be that intense 15 minutes ago. Now, even though this warning goes for the next 26 minutes, I think the core of this storm is offshore, as we can see in about 7 or 8 minutes. But for the next, let's say 10 minutes, going to be a rough situation there, southern sides of Edgewater. Bethune Beach, which is near there, moving east at 20, 60s and quarters. And again, quarter hail can be damaging. You're getting up to that inch-size hail, that could be some damaging hail. Again, hopefully missing most of the populated areas of Edgewater, but Bethune Beach, kind of in the bullseye of that as this storm moves off towards the east. Additional thunderstorm ramping up over Ormond Beach right now. Not too intense, some lightning over there, but again, heavy rain. It's going to be a situation, guys, for a while here, right, where we're going to continue to see these storms group up, become intense, come back down. Additional storms could redevelop behind that as well. Hi, Linda. It was really bad over Edgewater. Linda C., I will say, do you live in Edgewater? Or do you know someone who does? I would love to get some information. Did you get any hail, by the way, Linda, or do you know anyone who had any hail? Got my Lean Law tumbler, by the way, guys. Don't be too jealous. But Bobby Lean has some fantastic swag. Yeah, Farah, it just, I've been doing this long enough where, looking at what this radar shows me, you can kind of, and by the way, Weather Service people, they are fantastic. Again, I don't issue severe thunderstorm warnings. I don't issue tornado warnings. That all comes from the National Weather Service offices across the country. They are absolutely fantastic meteorologists. They cover us 24/7. They have certain criteria that they use to issue these storms. And again, for it to be a severe thunderstorm, you either have to have or expected winds of 60 plus miles an hour. That's a high criteria, and or inch-size hail. So they had the special weather statement for 50s and quarters. But when I was looking at that reflectivity, I thought we had a hail core developing and probably some stronger winds. And the Weather Service, ultimately agreed eventually as well and issued the severe thunderstorm warning for it. This storm is beginning to wane a bit, but you still have some pockets of very heavy rain and maybe even some smaller hail towards the Mall Millennia there, the Oak Ridge area, kind of west of 1792, along I-4 here, southern sides of Metro Orlando, right? Not even a special weather statement, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be pea-sized hail in this. That's not a criteria. Typically, if they expect a little bit of hail, they would issue a special weather statement, which again is a rung below a severe thunderstorm warning, but not necessarily. I'm seeing it many, many times where there's been just this one small core of a really intense, thunderstorm. And again, lightning, rainfall has nothing to do with the warnings that are issued, right? You could have blinding rain and you're not going to have a severe thunderstorm warning. You could have the most intense lightning you've ever seen and you may not have a severe thunderstorm warning. Linda, you talk about this stuff here? Well, this is kind of the tail end of what was coming out of Metro Orlando. Is there the opportunity that it could energize a bit as it moves to I-95? It could, but generally speaking, these storms here are going to what we call rake the atmosphere and probably limit the ability for the storms right behind them to really pulse up and become a lot stronger. They've taken all the instability and the juice out of the atmosphere and they've already used it. So I would expect these storms to probably just be moderate at best, at least initially, right? Now that is up where the storms are already developing. What's interesting is, and we've seen this the last couple of days, is that, as these storms move a little bit farther south and east, and now you have clear air again here in central and southern sides of Brevard County, eastern Orange and Osceola, do these storms intensify a little bit as they push south and east? It's a possibility, right? That's kind of the nature of what I'm expecting for today. And again, for those who are just tuning in, if we take a look at the risk from the Storm Prediction Center, we do have the upgraded risk for today. It's a 2 out of 5, right? But it's a 2 out of 5. Earlier today, it was just the darker green 1 out of 5. But for our I-95 corridor towards I-4, including Deltona and Sanford and Orlando, we have now fallen under this slight risk. And, you know, we had rounds of some storms that pushed severe criteria yesterday. We have already our first round of storms that have issued 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. And additional rounds of storms are possible through the rest of this late afternoon, early evening, and potentially even late this evening as well. Again, for my area, the worst weather I had was 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. Got hammered. Heavy rain and lightning. I mean, a lot of rain, several inches of rain again, right? It's helping the drought, that's good, but there's only so much that our soil can handle here. And believe it or not, I'm actually concerned about flooding over the next few days because this pattern is not going anywhere anytime soon. We are going to be staying wet for a while. If I take you guys out actually to the southeast, for those who are just tuning in, you can clearly see that the pattern has overall changed, right? And so there's a lot of wet weather coming. This is the look from the GFS model to how much rain that we could see in the coming days through the weekend. There's a lot of red on that map. Again, 6, 8 inches of rain starting now. Doesn't even count what we've had the last couple of days. So we gotta, you know, we can handle some of this, but look how widespread. And again, it's just one model. But if we average this out, a half foot of rain or more is likely through portions of our area. Weekend plans, probably not looking too great. I'm going to have a lot more on that for the Friday show at 1 o'clock. And that's exactly why I do the 2 shows I do during the week. The Monday show gets us set up through the week, the Friday show for Friday and the weekend. Of course, I love for you guys to tune in and join me live for that show. It's why I do it. If you can't tune in live, the recorded version will be on the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel for you to peruse at your pleasure, and many of you do. I keep a close eye on the view count. Many of you watch later that day, and I appreciate you guys doing that. As always, you can ask a question at any point in time, whether you're watching the live version or the recorded version, or if you want to join me here for these live streams, just like Francesca did. How you doing? Good to see you. Hope things are well. Appreciate those who have jumped in the chat and said hi so far. Again, this storm is a nasty one over Edgewater, and it really looks like it's kind of propagated south towards Oak Hill. Did they issue another warning? No, not yet. Thought that red line was another warning. They might. Now you can see that this intense system is over Oak Hill. So now we're getting to the southern Volusia, northern Brevard County coast border. And the opportunity that some of this might kind of just linger along the coast before it ultimately pushes offshore. So for Edgewater, even though you guys are actually under the severe thunderstorm warning for the next 18 minutes, the most intense part of the storm is away from you right now, right? You know, not everything is the same within this polygon. It really is the far southern areas, and even a lot of that has begun to work its way offshore. That does technically go until 6:30. So they have issued a new special weather statement for this cluster over the Metro Orlando area. Let's take a look at that. So from the most intense part, we've got Avalon Park 615, Bithlo 619, Wedgefield in at 639. And again, I can track this for you guys literally to the second. So for the Bithlo area, there you go, in about 7.5 minutes. For Avalon Park, a very populated area, the eastern side of Orange County, about 3.5 minutes away. You're going to start to see the most intense weather move into your area. And Wedgefield, just north of the beach line, the 528, in about 28 minutes. 50-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch size hail. You get to half-inch, you know, you might have some problems. Now, the interesting thing is that probably if we're getting some hail right now, it's over the Millennia area, Oak Ridge, Edgewood, Pine Castle, Sky Lake, Belle Isle, close to places like that. Probably should go back and say and revisit our Conway cam, right? Coming down. Hi, Twins Mama 2010. What about Alafaya area? Did I just answer your question? It's coming. I hope I did. You got about 3.5 minutes, Twins Mom, 2010, before the heavy rain sets in like we're seeing over Conway right now, and then probably building. Main threats, winds of 50 miles an hour, half-inch size hail, but at least at this point in time near Alafaya and Waterford Lakes, and I am familiar with that area. I used to live around the Waterford Lakes area. Don't anymore, but I used to. I'm not expecting, at least right now, the hail threat to accompany what's headed your way. But it's super intense rain, there's no doubt about it. Again, this is a live look to Conway. You can clearly see that the heaviest part of this cell is over Lake Conway right now. You even see a little bit of clearing to the north. Again, this cell, as we look to the east from this camera, is moving from north to south. So from left to right across your screen. Really good heavy rain over Conway. Don't think we got any hail out of that. But again, it's an intense cell that has this special weather statement. And again, it's plaguing the central and the southern sides of the Metro Orlando area as we speak. This is Winter Garden. Again, beautiful shot there. Detached clouds. All of the heaviest activity is just west of this camera. And again, this camera looks off towards the west. So it's just a beautiful shot. But, it's always a give and a take. You get the sunshine returning, and even though we're, 2 hours away from sunset, can this re-energize the atmosphere a little bit? It's a possibility. There's no doubt about it. So again, not saying that once a storm moves through your area that you're completely set and done. We'll be monitoring the situation here in Lake Buena Vista. Again, this camera is just 1 mile from the Disney property. We're looking actually back to the Magic Kingdom from this camera. Right now we're quiet, but again, that storm is building ever closer on the north side of Lake Buena Vista and the I-Drive corridor. All right, back out to our weather computer. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking a quick second and hitting that like button for me. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW if you have not as well. CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. You see their logo at the bottom of your screen. You can go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information, help to support someone who supports us here at CFLW. So, as I mentioned, here's Lake Buena Vista, World Drive, I-Drive corridor. We're beginning to see, get a little bit closer. Certainly over the beach line right now. We'll have to see if MCO has some weather delays. It's not out of the question. There's not a ton of lightning in this view, just 4 strikes. And again, the opportunity right over places like Sky Lake, Belle Isle, and Pine Castle for there to be a little bit of hail. When you start to see those fuchsias and those aquas and those whites, that is really high reflectivity from the radar, which can be indicative of absolutely blinding rain or even some hail as well. Or it could be a mixture of both. We could have a torrential downpour with some pea-sized hail embedded within that as well. Linda says, rubbling here again. Yep, that's the thing. Multiple waves of storms are likely today in certain areas. Not everyone is going to get it. A general thought would be the farther west that you go, the drier you're going to be today. I-4, I-95 will have the most prolific. Now, as I've mentioned, remember, we just talked about this. Okay, this storm has now dropped a little bit farther to the south. So now the Weather Service has had to issue a severe thunderstorm warning to cover Oak Hill, and that's what they did. So let's take a look at what that one looks like. Severe thunderstorm warning for, and I mean far east central Volusia County, right over Oak Hill, moving southeast at 15. And here's the problem: ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So we've taken it up a notch. Ping pong ball. Damage. People and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail to damage in roofs, siding, windows, vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Oak Hill, Apollo Beach, Eldora. These are the areas right now. Right over Oak Hill. As I said, fuchsia, blue, white. That's where the hail core is. I hope we're pushing this offshore very quickly. But you even have, again, the barrier areas here too that could be impacted by this. Most intense part is right here. Looks like it's going to be about another 8 minutes to get that completely offshore from the barrier areas here. Yep. Up to ping pong, man. That's pretty intense. That storm just got juiced up along that east sea breeze. A lot in the atmosphere there, no doubt about it. This little cell right here, just west of you, Linda, towards the MIMS area, that's pulsing up. Yeah, 1.5 inch size out of that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, Edgewater in the clear. Oak Hill, Apollo Beach, not so much. Just making sure nothing squirrely as far as velocity. These are the winds in the atmosphere from the radar. Just looking to make sure that there's no rotation within any of this. Sometimes we can get these water spouts to develop as they move offshore. There's not a ton of rotation overall with the storms for today, but it's always something I keep a close eye on. What I find interesting, though, is that this product should be letting us look at the possibility of hail size here. And I do not understand why we're not picking that up. It could be, if you notice that the radar is frozen on this, the Melbourne radar has had a little bit of an issue here lately. So we may not be getting that product actually being pushed out of it. I could look at it from the Jacksonville radar, but that's pretty far up there too. Just to again bring this on, these are the areas that are under the slight risk from the SPC. The yellow is the 2 out of 5 on the scale. The hail risk is a little bit more intense in those same spots. And the tornado risk, again, is not really existent. They've extended the 2% ring down to, Jacksonville and St. Augustine and Palm Coast and Daytona Beach. It's not 0, but it's not high. It's wind and hail for the most part. That's going to be the biggest issue out of this. Again, this storm continues to propagate south and east out of downtown Orlando. Now it's going to be moving into the southeast sides of Metro. Twins Mom, 2010 Alafaya. And Waterford Lakes, let's see, 417, 408. So here's Alafaya. Alafaya just on the north side of it. Overall, you're actually looking pretty good. It's Avalon Park that'll get hit a little bit more. You're probably just seeing some overshooting, cloud tops. If you look to the north, if you look to the south, you're going to be seeing some pretty intense rain, but it looks like the heaviest stuff is just south of 408. So Waterford Lakes more, yes. A little bit more intense, and then the farther south that you go, just following the 417 all the way to places like Lee Vista, and then on over towards the beach line, and then closer towards MCO as well. Lake Nona, widely populated area, start to get more intense activity there. Right now it's Belle Isle, right along the beach line. Not going to be fun driving there. All the way back down towards 1792, so towards OBT and JYP, John Young Parkway, Orange Blossom Trail. 91 on the map, for reference sake, is going to be the Turnpike. So again, special weather statement here. 50-mile-an-hour winds, half-inch size hail. Absolutely horrible storm near Oak Hill. Hopefully, if you know anyone who lives in Oak Hill, give them a call. See what's happening there. Hopefully no one, though, got hit by that ping pong ball size hail. But that's what the warning is for. Up to ping pong ball size hail. Apollo Beach area as well. Eldora. Trying to get that offshore, but again, got to get it up past the barrier areas as well before we're completely in the clear. Should be coming down in intensity in Oak Hill proper as we speak, though, in the city itself, right across US 1. Everything is now even east of US 1, right? That was a really nasty storm. And obviously, they're going to be throwing up special marine warnings as these storms push offshore. Let me get rid of those because those will just kind of clutter things. Linda, storm's coming back into your area, no doubt about it. Again, not as intense, not severe, not even a special weather statement. There's a possibility we could get a special weather statement out of it, but a lot of lightning. Lightning counts back up, 95 in this view in the last 15 minutes. Redevelopment of some cells over I-4 here over Sanford, non-severe, but that's the situation, that's the idea of what could continue to happen here. Again, it's only 6:20, right? We're not at sunset, but even yesterday, we didn't have to have the heat of the day to pulse up the storms. There's plenty of boundaries in play with both the east and the west coast sea breeze and a lot of mid-level juice and lift in the atmosphere to allow these storms to continue to potentially develop even after sunset tonight. It's not a slam dunk, certainly going to happen situation, but it could. While we're doing that, let's take a look at our HRRR model, our high resolution rapid refresh. HRRR reflectivity. I don't know, why aren't you showing up? Here we go. Yeah, pretty active, right? Now, the interesting thing about it is that the HRRR model, all right, so it has picked it up good. So this is 8 o'clock. I could start it at 7. Sometimes we should be okay starting it at 7. We'll catch the last frame before that. Sometimes if I start it before, like if I did the 6 o'clock start, sometimes it can mess up how the model runs. So I like to always start it in advance. But here's 7. Doing well, I gotta say. I think the HRRR model is on it, right? I mean, we're clearly going to have more activity across I-95. Maybe not this widespread at 7 o'clock, but that's where the action's gonna be. Maybe in inland Volusia County. Can't rule out Seminole in Orange County as well, but I-4 West is a little bit quieter, overall for the next couple of hours. Then, at least initially, we should push this offshore. Now, one thing that none of the models had last night, and I was monitoring it, was the redevelopment of the storms west of I-4 that pushed back into portions of the Orlando metro area, again, 10, 11 o'clock last night. I got hammered. I don't know about you guys. So could there be some redevelopment that the model is not picking up on tonight? It's absolutely a possibility. But then as we come into tomorrow, here we go again. 4 or 5 o'clock, same scenario for tomorrow. I-4, I-95. Look how prolific the storms could be this time tomorrow in 24 hours, right? And again, just pulses of energy. Here comes some more tomorrow evening and overnight and even into Saturday. Here's Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. That's as far out as I can take you on our high resolution rapid refresh. But you get the idea. Waves of energy coming in. Waves of storms, waves of heavy rain, severe weather threat. Ultimately, believe it or not, we'll start to pick up a flood threat as well. It's crazy to be talking about that, as dry as it has been for as long as it has been dry, but that's the quick pattern shift that we've gotten here in Central Florida. So that's the overall view. I'll have more on that for the Monday show tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Hopefully you guys have the opportunity to join me then. I'd love to see you guys tomorrow at 1. All right, let's get back over to the radar. Looks like I got to throw our warnings back on, which is fine. So again, appreciably, this severe thunderstorm warning for Edgewater should be allowed to expire momentarily at 6:30. The severe thunderstorm warning for the ping pong ball size hail will also more than likely expire in 18 minutes. I don't see the intense part of that cell staying onshore for another 18 minutes. They might even allow it to expire a little bit earlier. But again, if you're just tuning in, this warning for the Oak Hill, Apollo Beach area had ping pong ball size hail a part of it, right? When we look at the overall stats of it, southeast at 14, 1.5 inch size hail. That is damaging hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, Oak Hill, Apollo Beach, Eldora. Get it off the coastal areas as fast as we possibly can. Still have our special weather statement. I know that it goes all the way up into Seminole County, but quite honestly, you can clearly see that this is bowed out here. Now, another thing that I haven't done yet, and we can absolutely do, is we'll bring on our current conditions. Those are temperatures right now. I'll go over to wind gusts. That is not wind gusts, that's relative humidity. We did not have a 74 at the executive airport, but we did have a 31. And that, the airport wasn't really an area that got hit the hardest, but a 31 there. See if anyone else has been reporting a stronger wind gust. No, but again, our stations aren't the ones that have been the most hit so far. But really beginning to pick up over MCO, Lake Nona, southeast side towards Medical City, Meadowwoods, other areas here, 17. Uh-oh, don't freeze on me now. Don't freeze on me. We'll check out the cameras while I try and reset that real fast. Here's the Conway cam. Is that Florida or what? Intense storm. Now you have a rainbow on the far side. If you guys look on the far side of Lake Conway, there's like a little bit of iridescence there, a little bit of a rainbow situation over there. Yep. The weather computer was like, no, man, what are you doing? You're zooming in way too fast. I don't like it. That's a gorgeous shot, though. It's still active. Let me see if I do this. All right. Sometimes if you're just really kind to it and you sweet talk it, as I do with my wife sometimes, just gentle sweet talking, sometimes it cooperates. Here's Winter Garden. That's a gorgeous shot. Again, we're west of the storms. But you can actually see that there's some lower bases to some of the storm clouds now developing even west of Winter Garden, so into Lake County, but more blue sky there, but that's a gorgeous shot. And again, the Disney camera. We don't see as much sky from this camera, but the reason why we have this camera and we have the camera pointed the way that we do is that it's looking towards the Magic Kingdom and back towards the Disney property, which of course, a lot of folks are out and about in the weather, and so we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to cover that area as much as we can. Would actually love to get a camera on Disney property. How nice would that be? All right, so again, we're good to go. Back to the radar here, and again, this severe thunderstorm warning continues, and that is such an intense storm. But let us get the bulk of that ping pong ball size hail offshore right now. Those whites, I mean, there's definitely some hail associated with it, but the amount of rainfall that could be coming down as well. And look, even behind this, you get some redevelopment towards I-95. Pockets of really heavy rain and a lot of lightning too. Special weather statement for the Orlando metro area, especially southeast sides, will go until 6:45. Again, 50-mile-an-hour winds and some, half-inch size hail here. We can do a storm track on this. Let's see, I'll bring up my my manual track here. Let's get the speed from the Weather Service here. Say about 15. More than anything, I'm just going to take this southern area because this is going to start to move into some, once it gets east of an Arcoosie here, which is east of the 417, we get into some pretty rural areas. But this will start to try and make a push into northern sides of Osceola County. I'm just going to take this down. Said about 15. All right. So I just wanted to kind of talk about this part of the cell because it is propagating more south. There's a easterly push here, but this part is headed basically due south. So you can see that. And again, right over Buenaventura Lakes, in Meadowwoods, in Medical City, it's over Lake Nona now, so 6:33 for Medical City, 6:45 for Buenaventura Lakes, over East Lake Toho towards St. Cloud, coming your way at around 7:06. So you can see again, if you live in St. Cloud, trying to give you guys a heads up, about 33 minutes away for whatever this is going to end up being moving into your area. Absolutely the opportunity that this could dissipate a bit before it gets here, but just a heads up that again, this is drifting to the south. This has had the history of some small hail and very intense rain and lightning, and it will continue to push into the northern sides of Osceola County. Buenaventura Lakes, the closer you are, obviously the better chance you have for this to be still holding together. And so in about 11 minutes, expected to be coming your way. Farrah, definitely Florida, no doubt about it. And you can see again that these storms along the East Coast, clear that out here real quick, guys. Oh, I think it's because I have to do that. There we go. This whole complex, southern Volusia and Brevard, it's just gotten stronger, more widespread, right? That, again, they let the warning go in Edgewater. This warning really could be expired at any point in time because the core of that storm has moved offshore. You've got another intense cell developing basically over Lake Monroe, St. Johns River area of Sanford. Again, purples, aquas, that's a problem. That cell is by itself too. I mentioned that. We call those discrete thunderstorms. When these storms can kind of create their own environment, right? Those are the ones that could pulse up again. And even on the far northwest side of this one, could have more intense weather trying to come back over even Edgewater as well. Let's go out to the broader view here, and I'm going to loop this up over the last couple of hours, so you guys get an idea of how this has kind of played out since about 4-ish o'clock. Again, the storms really lined up over I-4 and have worked their way off towards the east. Really the most intense cell we're seeing right now. Southern Volusia, northern Brevard. We did have some special weather statements for Osceola and Polk counties earlier. We had a severe thunderstorm warning for the northwest side of Orange County. It's a tiny one, but kind of over the Lockhart area, I believe, and south of Apopka. Again, we pulsed up a severe thunderstorm there. We had intense rain from Sanford south, Lake Mary at Oviedo, and then all the way through downtown Orlando. And now some of this activity is trying to redevelop over I-4. Now, again, north and west, right? A little bit quieter at this point in time, but in the broad view, still at least kicking more energy out, and the possibility to continue to proliferate storms for the next several hours. It's not a slam dunk, but it's absolutely a possibility. And again, you know, are those storms going to be severe? We'll see. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for joining me here on this Thursday. I'm live for you at 6:36. Thank you for doing me a quick favor. If you're getting anything out of this, guys, do me a quick favor right now. We need this channel to grow, and I need your help to do so. Thank you for liking this live stream. Believe it or not, it actually helps more than you can imagine. That interaction, liking, dropping in the chat what's going on. Oh, Francesca, by the way, I said, I miss you on TV. Glad you're here. I'm here. This is where I am these days. By the way, do 2 other channels if you guys want to join me for those as well. Media Mundo, we cover Caribbean and the Bahamas weather. And Weather Express, it's your 5-minute daily forecast across the country. Many of you asked me when I was doing CFLW, Rusty, we love you doing Florida weather. Do you cover the country? Well, can't cover it in the same way, but I do a 5-minute forecast, quick forecast. If you want kind of the highlights of what I expect across the country in the day, you can find it on the Weather Express channel. Both of those you can find links to here in the video description of this live stream. So appreciate you guys supporting me on the other channels as well. You can go to those links and you can subscribe to those channels. Again, for CFLW, I recommend having all notifications on. So when you subscribe to the channel, YouTube will give you an option as to what notifications you would want for this channel, because it's only live and I'm only going to be on when there's something to talk about. Have all the notifications on. That way you'll get that notification on your phone, your tablet, or wherever. Okay, it's, 6:30 at night, Rusty is live for some reason. Let me tune in and see what's going on. All right. That way you guys don't miss one of these live streams if you have those all notifications on. This storm is beginning to wane a bit. Great news for northern Osceola County. Heavy rain across the 417 bending around MCO for Medical City, Lake Nona, Meadow Woods itself. Just solid rain. Some lightning, just a good thunderstorm. Wouldn't expect it to be severe. Wouldn't expect it to cause any problems. Maybe our friends in Lake Nona need more rain. Look, overall, we still need a lot more rain to get out of our drought. It's just that I'm concerned that we're going to see too much in too short of amount of time, especially days and days of rain in a row, and that's going to be a problem, right? We've seen it the last day or two. We're going to see it through Sunday at least. Very prolific rain. Hi, Rusty. Good to see you. I mean, you know, that could be my pseudonym. I could be typing over here, but I'm not. Thanks for tuning in, Rusty. I hope you're doing well. Oh, you know what? Storm reports. All right, so Edgewater at 5:45 had a half-inch size train spotter, reported half-inch hail with winds around 30 to 35 knots in Edgewater. Okay, so what, 40-mile-an-hour winds. All right, and then the Apopka area earlier, this is what prompted the severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, right? So, you know, sometimes the Weather Service, they won't have a severe thunderstorm warning, but they'll get a train spotter that says, look, I've got inch-size hail. They'll fire up a severe thunderstorm warning because of that. That's what they had. Train spotter, State Road 14 and Martin Road there in Apopka, about 2 miles southwest of downtown, inch-size hail. So that's what prompted the severe thunderstorm warning for northwest Orange County, which kind of kicked everything off, right? So again, I have the ability here to look at a lot of different things in a very short amount of time. It's a fantastic system. For today, this is your risk of excessive rainfall. It's in the green, but what that means is that the Weather Service does expect that there will be some excessive rainfall in our area for today. Probably not extremely widespread and probably not, you know, of a huge flood concern, but it's a possibility. Let's take a look at the visible satellite imagery here. So you can see earlier in the day, we had our East Coast sea breeze kicking back on shore in the beginnings of kind of where these storms developed and didn't move in Osceola and Polk counties to begin. And then they've just kind of built their way up I-4 and I-95. But you have mid-level kicks still coming out of the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico. This is the big pattern change. Again, if you're just tuning in and we talked about in Monday's show, we have what we call an omega block pattern in place. It's like the omega, the Greek alphabet letter omega. So you've got a trough out west, a big ridge in the central United States, and then a trough out east. So that means all of this energy is diving much farther south than what we've had. You've got all of this energy in Texas, and then the northern Gulf Coast states that'll be kicking into our peninsula over the coming days. And so we've just really juiced things up in a hurry, and this is a very active pattern for us. That's not going to change. Enhanced satellite imagery. Again, you know, higher cloud tops here, right? And I do have the ability to, by the way, take our radar and go 3D. I think we looked at that last time, and if these storms do warrant us to get a little bit squirrely and fun like that, I'll do that as well. Caleb, how you doing? What about here in Hereford, Texas? Caleb, this is the Central Florida channel. I appreciate you tuning in. Where is Hereford anyway? You got to let me know what quadrant of the state. Now, I'll say if it's far south, you guys are also under a slight risk as well. But I appreciate you tuning in, Caleb, and thanks for joining the channel. That's awesome. We have several folks who watch from around the country. It's not just you. Sin was in earlier from Illinois. We have Garrett who tunes in all the time from North Carolina. I've got in-laws who tune in from Missouri. You know, I pay them to do so, but you know, they still watch. And I appreciate that. No advisories here so far as well. All right, so let's get back out to the live radar. They reissued the severe thunderstorm warning for Edgewater. So again, this was a spot that we talked about, right? This cell right here. Unfortunately, Edgewater is now about ready to get hit with the 1-2 punch. If I get rid of that special weather statement, you'll see the new warning. 60 and inch size hail. All right? Radar indicated hail threat up to an inch. That's damaging. All right, wind gusts of 60 miles an hour. That can be damaging. Knocking down trees, taking down some power lines, lightweight objects that are out in the yard, your trash bin, plastic chairs. They can get thrown around in those kinds of winds. New Sparta Beach, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Bethune Beach, Apollo Beach. I feel like I've said these names before. Unfortunately, we're about ready to get the second storm coming through the Edgewater area. This is a little bit farther north than where the last one was. This hail core might have a little bit better chance to actually work its way in. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to go to the Jacksonville radar. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because the Melbourne radar hasn't been showing us the hail potential out of this. I'm going to see if the Melbourne radar is cooperating a little bit more. It's not. Fortunately, we're not getting any of the estimated hail size out of it. Thought I'd try, see if it was just the Melbourne radar. Appears not to be. All right. So let's go back over to the Melbourne radar. Yeah, Blue Goose, looks like it's Edgewater again. Man, it's so funny how this happens from time to time, right? All right. Might take a second to get the live sweep. I think it's doing one more full scan before it pops back on. But anyway, Edgewater. Like, actual Edgewater here, about 6.5 minutes away from where that hail core is. US 1 is about 11 minutes away. And again, you can see the storm ETA, both in time and until impact. So at 6:45, this is coming your way at 6:56. You've got about 11 minutes to US 1, but the far western side of the more populated area of Edgewater, and again, this is your street level mapping, so we can see the densely populated streets there west of US 1. It's coming away in about 6 minutes. We had someone, there's Alice. Okay, Alice is here. Alice, are you in Edgewater, by the way? If you are, let me know. And Linda C said it was really bad over Edgewater, but again, I don't know whether that means Linda is actually there in Edgewater. But Alice, if you are in Edgewater, let me know. Because I'll say this, it is bad there, but unfortunately, it looks like it's going to get even worse. This hail core is more over I-95 right now, but it looks like it's going to go right over Edgewater. And again, the warning is for up to inch-size hail. And so you're looking at, quarter-ish size, and that is going to cause problems. There's no doubt that that could be significant and damaging hail that could be coming over portions of Edgewater if it's holding together. Storm is trying to hold its water over 415. That's the Osteen area. There's Lake Monroe. No, just south. Surprised how bad it is. Okay, appreciate it, Alice. Depending on how far south you are, you really need to pay attention to this, because the previous storm that came through also developed over Edgewater, but also worked its way south before coming offshore. So it's not out of the question. Like if you live between Edgewater and Oak Hill, you got to really pay attention to this, because that could try and slip a bit farther south and east. So again, Edgewater and Apollo Beach and Bethune Beach, those are the areas, Eldora, Oak Hill, that could be probably seeing the worst of this. But for right now, man, it is right over I-95. Could you imagine driving in this over I-95, by the way? Folks doing things they shouldn't be doing, like trying to get to the underpasses or the overpasses, trying to stay underneath the overpass. But again, when you see those flashing colors on my radar, super, super intense storm. Again, my radar system is picking up inch-size hail, but a 100% probability. must not be any areas in that one. I'm just perusing all of these storms here. Yeah, it might be Blue Goose a little bit. I think you should be okay. Oh, Vero Beach, yeah, you're good. Hi, Wendy. Daytona, great question. Daytona right now is okay. Storm was just pulled through Ormond Beach, right? But just missed you to the north. Now, again, redevelopment still for the next couple of hours, it's not out of the question, right? I don't want to say that you're completely clear because you are still under a risk for severe storms. All of central and the eastern sides of our area are at this point in time, all right? But for right now, you're okay. Just so that cell right there, 46, like Harney, just like Blue Goose said. Again, could be a little bit of hail with that. Now, if this cell holds together, it might try and head to Oak Hill. Same scenario, right? They're all kind of congregating in these same spots. They're developing near I-4. They're getting stronger as they push to I-95. Wind and hail is the big threat. But, you know, we had some reports, or at least estimated hail size from the Weather Service of ping pong ball size hail. And we did have 1 inch size hail in the Apopka area a little bit earlier today as well, about 5 o'clock. That kind of is what kicked off all of this activity. You got it, Wendy. My pleasure. And just like Wendy, you have a specific question about the forecast, let me know in the comments section below. And if you're there, thank you for taking a quick second and liking this. Maybe some, you know, baby hail over Lake Nona in Medical City. Only a 60% chance, less than ½ inch. Shouldn't be significant hail, shouldn't be damaging hail, but Lake Nona Medical City, that opportunity. Live here for about an hour and a half on CFLW. Good to see you guys getting back into the season. We're getting closer to mid-May. You know, we talked about it on the live shows that I do. And for those who tune in and are watching, appreciate you guys doing both and helping to support me here. But, you know, we didn't want to get too far into May and have it be too dry. The wildfire threat was getting outrageous. The drought threat was getting problematic. Melbourne's radar dropping out is an issue as well. Why did you do that? But, you know, now we've really flipped it in a very short amount of time. It's pretty unbelievable actually to see how quickly we've gotten back into this pattern of being so wet out there. Let's see here, Melbourne's radar. I don't want to say it's budget cuts, but Melbourne radar has been a little bit funky from time to time lately. Just swing over to Tampa's radar real fast. And I've always got the composite too. Again, hail likely out of this. I-95 west, just south of Edgewater. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. Again, for this particular warning, goes until 7:15. Severe thunderstorm near Edgewater moving east, 60s and quarters. Quarters are damaging. Impact, hail damage to vehicles expected, wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Again, New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Bethune Beach, Apollo Beach, those are the areas more than likely impacted by this current severe thunderstorm. But these storms are almost kind of moving off to the south a little bit as well. See if Melbourne got its act together and is back up. Yes, it is. Most of the time, it just takes one volume scan, one sweep, and it comes back on. Hi, Jaden. How are you? Thanks for tuning in, Jaden. I hope you're doing well. Farrah said, yeah, I just passed through Ormond Beach a little bit ago. Yeah, it wasn't the most intense cell, but it was a decent storm. Pretty good heavy rain there as well. Let's go back out to our cameras. Again, you know, look, there's several areas to monitor here. And look, as I've talked about, can't rule out some redevelopment west of I-4, just like we had yesterday. And so there you go again. Wekiva Springs, Apopka, Ocoee, so now down to 429. And so we might, it's going to be close. We're probably not going to see it directly, but that's the camera out of Winter Garden. So now that cell is developing a little bit closer to the Winter Garden area. And now we can catch it from our camera here. Again, this camera looking off towards the west. You look a little bit south and west, you're seeing a little bit of sunshine out there as we get a little bit closer to the dusk hour, but you can also see the thickening, lowering of the clouds here, especially on the right-hand side of your screen. So additional showers and storms are developing here in the western sides of Orange County, Ocoee, Winter Garden, even in Lake County, over Lake Apopka, and towards Montverde as well. Just picking up a little bit of lightning associated with that. If you look across the 429, just north of Ocoee, a couple of lightning strikes there. Shower redeveloping over Wekiva Springs, just north of Apopka in the 46 area there as you head towards I-4. Not severe, but again, redevelopment. Got to watch out for that. There's the calm after the storm, at least storm number 1 over Conway, looking good there. And again, always keeping an eye on the attractions. Right now, Lake Buena Vista doesn't look that bad. Not a cloud, really kind of a murky sky, but nothing too significant over there. But that could change at a moment's notice given the scenario that we're in. All right, back out to the radar. Go back out broad view. So again, a little bit of development west of I-4 again. I wouldn't expect there to be a lot as far west as I-75, okay? Again, the risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. Oh, that scared me. I was like, what happened there? That is the tornado risk. This is the categorical risk. It does include I-75, but again, your slight risk, or your 2 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center, is I-95 and portions of I-4, right? These are the areas that I'm more concerned about. And really, those are the areas where the storms have been, more rogue and more rowdy today. Still could see some redevelopment west, but those are the areas that I'm most concerned about. And the reason why we could still see some development west is when I put back on the composite radar here. Again, there's still some juice out in the eastern side of the Gulf that could kick some energy back out our way a little bit later into the evening hours. It's not out of the question. Not expecting a lot of it, but it's not out of the question. And you can kind of see that here. And if I bring on the infrared satellite imagery, you can probably see that even a little bit better. Jaden, I hope everyone's doing good as well. Appreciate you guys. Again, you have a specific question, let me know. Drop in and say hi. Glad to see a lot of my friends from all the different channels coming by and saying hi. And I appreciate you guys and the support with that as well. So the one cell west of Edgewater has now thrown up a special weather statement. We've had a special weather statement the whole time, even down towards MIMS. But obviously I've been more focused on what's going on at Edgewater. But now the cell tracking across 46, Lake Harney area, over 415 in Osteen, just south and west of Edgewater, has prompted a new special weather statement. It goes for the next 18 minutes. And again, these cells here back into Metro Orlando, more rain than anything else, but a couple of lightning strikes across the 429, the eastern shoreline of Lake Apopka. One little lightning strike over Wekiva Springs. And then you've got your severe storm here. And again, hail, hail, hail. Right now, maybe 1 1/4 inch sized hail over Edgewater. Not a great situation. 1 1/2 inch sized hail. Hail probability is 100% right now. So we're getting hail, and the question is, how intense is it? Let's hope it's nothing too bad. But Edgewater again. This time, we didn't miss the most populated parts of Edgewater, unfortunately. Again, purples, blues, whites, high reflectivity equals heavy, heavy rain, mix of hail and rain, or some larger size hail. And given this environment, this is probably some very heavy rain with some fairly large size hail, okay? So the Weather Service has it as 1 inch. My radar system says maybe 1 1/4 inches. Both are damaging hail sizes. Quarter size, slightly higher. Going to be some problems here. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7:15. All right. Special weather statement behind it. The special weather statement into northern sides of Brevard County also go until 7:15. Again, some activity developing west, and you can clearly see, snap your fingers, how quickly this has gotten going, right? You know, is this the next area that picks back up? Heavy rain, lightning, all a possibility. This cluster that moved out of Lake Nona coming down a bit, just a bit. Should be okay, more rural areas. Again, maybe some pea-sized hail there. Now, you know, the question is that as this gets south and east towards southern sides of Brevard County, does that do something where it pulses back up? But we can kind of see where the initiation and the redevelopment is right now. And it has not taken long. That's gone up in a hurry. And of course, we do have our camera out of Winter Garden, and that is what you're looking at. So you see that redevelopment? That's it right there. Back into Lake County, northern sides of Orange County. Now, we're not picking up the heaviest stuff far northern sides of Orange County from this camera, but that is the redevelopment of some of that activity kind of along State Route 50, Colonial Drive, Turnpike areas here, far west Orange County, portions of Lake County. Again, friends, good to see you live on this Thursday as we hit the 7 o'clock hour. Nice to join you. This is just going to be one of those situations, guys, where, you know, probably from time to time over the coming days, I'll be jumping on and covering this with you guys, right? You know, it's not going to shock me if I see you guys for 3 more days in a row. Not out of the question, right? You know, even outside of me joining you, right, you should still expect there to be very intense storms and also the opportunity for some heavy rain. Now, obviously, when we have severe weather, you know, that's when I jump on and we cover this for you guys live, but it's just going to be a very active pattern. And you guys need to be prepared for that. Any weekend plans, especially any afternoon outdoor weekend plans, could get shut down, right? Especially as we get deeper into the afternoon and all of this wants to try and get going as well. Blue Goose watching that North Cocoa storm activity. Keep an eye on it for you, Blue Goose. But you can see that even right now, in just the last couple of minutes, we had 1 lightning strike over Wekiva Springs. Now we have 8. So this storm is building, lifting, and getting more intense even as we head to 7 o'clock. Storm here, still just a few lightning strikes over the northern sides of Winter Garden and Ocoee, the 429. But trying to pick up a little bit, and again, this is feeding back south and west where multiple cells are trying to get going over Lake County, Claremont, Groveland areas. Again, this storm over Edgewater is no bueno. That is an intense, intense cell. I'm always going to check in on this estimated hail size. What's interesting is that, like, pretty much everything else but the hail is showing. But this here, some of the other things that I'm showing you guys, is a very good indication that there's hail embedded within this. We won't get into the science of this, but this, even though there's a product that would estimate the hail size and we could literally go pixel by pixel and look at the hail size. But this is also a product that takes in the vertically integrated liquid here and it shows you where we probably have some hail falling right now. Right across I-95. And unfortunately, it went through Edgewater as well. That's what you're seeing out of that. And especially these oranges. Very intense. And just to kind of give you an idea, you can see the greens, but when you get into these oranges here, you've probably stacked it up enough where you're having ice-producing storms. So it's another way to kind of get around the fact that we're not getting this probability of hail size. even though, yeah. Well, probability of severe hail, okay. Still not getting an estimated hail size. Looks like I am getting probability of severe hail now, though. So over an inch. And you can see some of these pockets here. Nothing outrageously high, but it's there. All right. So back out live. This goes for the next 11 minutes. As we said, all of this goes until 7:15. And we'll see how this wants to try and redevelop here. It's obviously picking up pretty quickly. Wekiva Springs, the western sides of Orange County, through Lake County. This is kind of getting all clustered up now. Brevard, not as concerned here right now. None of this looks very prominent, and it's all congested. If I throw on the winds, here are the current gusts. But just to show you that, like in Port St. John, this wind is going to be out of the southeast. Any little bit of a southerly component here is going to just kind of pull in pretty raked air. We got a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust near the Cape. 28 in downtown Orlando, 38 at MCO. And again, our local storm reports. Earlier in the day at 5 o'clock, about 5:08, we had an inch-size hail from a train spotter just southwest of Apopka. That prompted the severe thunderstorm warning for Orange County. And in Edgewater, it's a half-inch size. With the first storm at 5:45, we had half-inch size hail and winds of 30 to 35. Now, that train spotter is right here in Edgewater. So we should probably get an update or another report from that same train spotter for this storm that's going over Edgewater right now. So we'll be curious to see if we unfortunately ramped it up a bit with this latest severe storm, because it certainly looked like the hail core went more directly over Edgewater the second time around. Anyone has any specific questions about the forecast, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. I've got my Lean Law tumbler. Everyone enjoying dinner, by the way? I haven't had anything yet. Don't make me too jealous, but I hope you guys are eating well. It's funny, sometimes I'll do these live streams, especially on Media Mundo, last year when we covered hurricanes, and I will legitimately lose 5 pounds in one day. I mean, I'll gain it back, but you know, sitting up here trying to stay hydrated but not eating much, it could be a case. Now, for the Media Mundo ones, and probably even for this, if we were to do some extended coverage, I'm building in like a little bit of a video element, so if I need to take a quick break, I can. And that way you guys are still entertained. But typically speaking, when I have this, just leaving the radar up keeps folks entertained enough. Sometimes the radar can get pretty good ratings. There's the Winter Garden camera again. You can see that the bases have come down from those storms that are developing west of the Metro Orlando area. And again, this will try and push east. Steak burrito, I like it. We had fajitas a couple days ago, and I've been taking the leftovers and throwing it in salads every day last couple of days. It was really good too. That's nice, Sen. I appreciate it. What's really what is making me very hungry right now is I can smell bacon. That's just cruel. I'm just saying. There's bacon in the house right now, and it's not in my mouth. So I feel like there was some purpose behind that. That's all I'm saying. Gorgeous shot from Lake Conway. You can see, again, some of the showers maybe near the offshore, but right now in southeast Orlando, we've actually broken back out into blue sky. And we talked about how that is a it's a blessing and a curse. It's beautiful to get a lovely sunset at the end of the day, but any clear sky will heat back up and juice up the atmosphere at the lower levels, and we could pop off a couple of more storms because of that. You're just putting more fuel on the fire when you get back into a little bit of a sunny condition for us here, indeed. And a Cafe Bustelo as well. There you go. Blue Goose also with the burrito. Cafe Bustelo. Nice. Again, looking okay near Disney right now. Kind of a murky sky, but nothing extremely dark and gray. So we're going to have these warnings going for the next 6 minutes. Now, again, Edgewater has been hit hard by whatever this storm brought. Probably some 60-mile-an-hour winds, probably some inch-size hail. All right. Special weather statement goes all the way down to MIMS, but a lot of that is right along the barrier areas and really not really populated areas of the coastal areas of the northern side of Brevard County. Once you get into Oak Hill in the southern Volusia County area, you get to Apollo Beach, Bethune Beach, you start to pick up more populated areas. Again, this special weather statement really has nothing going on with it. It's kind of glommed up with all of the more active weather into, the I-95 corridor. The newest activity, which again has gone up quickly, this is the loop over the last 30 minutes. That's definitely not 30 minutes. That's like 7 minutes because the radar had to re-up. All right, great. Now I'm just lying to you guys. Typically that should be a solid 30-minute loop. But this time it wasn't. But again, half hour ago, none of this was out there. So again, for my friends in Metro Orlando, we're going to be running it back. Wekiva Springs, Winter Springs, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, already back into more heavy rain. The lightning is picking up. Maitland, Winter Park, it'll be coming your way. Apopka, again, we had inch hail south and west of Apopka at 5 o'clock today. We're going to be picking up more intense activity. Lockhart towards the northern sides of Ocoee. Winter Garden is beginning to get into the act as well, right? And again, I've been showing you that camera, but that camera is here and looking west. And so it's cutting through all of this. And you can see 50, which is Colonial Drive to Claremont. 91 is the Turnpike. So Montverde, Mineola, Claremont, all with pretty prolific rain redeveloping. Not a ton. If I zoom into this area, a few lightning strikes, but obviously the rain is picking back up. And it's still 7 o'clock. And so there could, still some juice to fuel this here. An area that I'm not as concerned about, but there will be more rain, is coming into the central and the southern sides of Brevard County. Probably for the Cape and Port Canaveral as well. Port St. John, Cocoa, Merritt Island, Pineda, O'Galley, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Satellite Beach. We're going to get some rain in your area. Probably not as intense though. The atmosphere is a little bit more raked down here. More than likely, this activity will not be as strong. But the lightning is quite intense right now, moving offshore from the Cape North, right? And again, our special weather statements, our severe thunderstorm warnings go for the next 3 minutes. Special marine warnings are going to last a lot longer than that as well. Did Conway get hail? Kelsey, from our camera, we did not see hail in Conway. Now, I'm not going to say that there wasn't a little bit of extremely small hail, but there certainly didn't look to be anything significant with any hail. But if anyone lives near the Conway area as well, always like to have that secondary information. But from our live camera from Lake Conway, we did not see hail. It's a pretty intense part of the cell came through a little bit earlier, but hail-wise didn't see anything from that. But thank you for asking. Let's go back over to our local storm report here. All right, now we have a wind report out of Oak Hill. So here we go. This was at 6:20, 4 miles southwest of Apollo Beach. We've got Volusia County Fire Station in Oak Hill measured a wind gust of 54 miles an hour. So there you go. Kind of verifying, the warnings that have been issued for 60-mile-an-hour winds and inch-size hail. We've had both in this area. And again, Edgewater, half inch, Oak Hill, 54-mile-an-hour wind. We had the Apopka one a little bit earlier. I've only got this on current, but so these are like within like the last hour. But we had inch-size hail at 5:08 in the Apopka area. Let's make sure there's nothing else. No, okay. It's your current warnings. No watches. You know, the Storm Prediction Center, I don't think that they were very robust on wanting to put us under any kind of watch today. They didn't think that the storms were going to be that widespread. So, you know, maybe a 5% chance, but to actually be under an actual severe thunderstorm watch for this evening, I don't expect it. All right, so our severe thunderstorm warnings and our special weather statements are set to expire here in less than a minute. Curious to see if they're going to be reissuing anything. I think if they do, it's going to be extreme coastal Brevard and Volusia counties, right? You know, same areas that have already been hit. Oak Hill, Apollo Beach, Bethune Beach, Eldora areas, and then working its way offshore. So we'll see how that goes. Again, additional non-severe storms have proliferated quite quickly right back in the northern and the western sides of Metro Orlando. So Oviedo, all the way back towards the Kauai, Winter Garden, Oakland, Claremont, and Lake County. This again will try and make a run right back into downtown. Right now they're not severe, but the lightning count is beginning to ramp up a bit as well. All right, so at this point in time, and it might just literally be for a second, we don't have any special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, it's always a tricky situation for the Weather Service when they have probably a storm that would warrant a severe thunderstorm warning and or just a special weather statement that's about ready to push offshore. They don't really like to issue these things for just like 10 minutes. They would rather have a longer time, but it's going to be close because US 1 is still getting hit pretty hard right now, Edgewater to Oak Hill, and then you've got a secondary cell which wouldn't warrant a special weather statement, but you know, there's more lightning now up here towards even the New Smyrna area, and this could be building north. So, you know, we could start to get a little bit more rain and storms, even just kind of propagating north to Port Orange and Ponce Inlet and Daytona and Wilbur by the Sea and Holly Hill, places like that. Again, it is the I-95 corridor and portions of I-4 that I expect to have the worst weather the remainder of the evening hours. And some of this could linger deep into, you know, the evening as well. It could certainly be that situation. Bye, Linda. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. And thanks for tuning in. No doubt about it. Linda, friend of the channel, watches some of the live streams on the Monday and Friday shows, checks us out as well. Okay, so here's the situation. I've been on for like virtually an hour and 20 minutes, so 2 hours. No warnings are in effect right now. So I'm going to take a break and we'll see how this plays out the remainder of the evening. Again, there is certainly the opportunity that these storms could become rowdy again, special weather statements, or severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm going to be monitoring the situation, and if it warrants, I'll jump back on. Again, the radar out of Melbourne is going through its feels right now. Not really sure. Yeah, it's bacon time. That's what it is, Farrah. It's bacon time. I've been doing this for 2 hours. I need some bacon. I can smell it. It's not very nice. Not gonna lie. But I'm gonna get me some of that bacon. So now I'm glad it's there, because I was thinking maybe I'm not gonna get the fresh bacon, but maybe I will actually get the bacon. How's Altamont by 436 Ronald Reagan looking? Sure. This is one of those storms, King Kong, that has pulsed back up. It's not severe, right? But you can see the lightning count is coming right back up here in the Altamont Springs area. And again, ultimately, you know, these cells have pushed all the way back into Lake County, but this is the newest stuff. Hopefully here we can get the radar out of Melbourne to come back on again. Let me do this real quick. Switch over to Tampa. So you can see these cells, they're all kind of lined up right now, and they're getting stronger, right? So yeah, really heavy rain, no special weather statements out of any of that as of right now. But we're going to get hit hard again in portions of Metro Orlando, right? Heavy rain, a lot of lightning. Lightning count is up. And, ultimately we could get back into some more severe weather. You got it, King Kong, my pleasure. Before I get out of here, at least for the time being, sorry, I hit a wrong button behind the scenes. That's the winter garden camera. And I think it's just beginning to rain here in Winter Garden here from this camera. But you can see again, if you look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see that there's a pretty hefty storm just kind of to the north and to the west of that camera, right? But it's certainly changed. We had clear skies an hour ago, and now we've got all this activity again. So it's going to be active. Okay, friends. So again, for right now, going to say goodbye. But again, I'll be monitoring the situation. And let's be clear, we're going to have several more days of this in a row where strong to severe storms is going to be likely here in Central Florida. So there's an opportunity and a time that I might be seeing you guys at least the next 3 days. If for some reason I don't come back on tonight, I will see you guys for tomorrow's show, Friday at 1 o'clock. Again, setting the stage for what we're going to see the remainder of Friday and into the weekend, where again, we already have the opportunity for some severe weather here in Central Florida each of those days. So wet, stormy, flood threats going to start to come about, believe it or not, even after all these dry conditions. Friends, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support of the Lean Law Firm. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state, anything that can impact you or your property. So hail damage, wind damage, hurricane damage, you've been in an auto accident, they're going to walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. We never like to think about it, but when it happens in our life, you want an advocate on your side, you go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. We appreciate them supporting CFLW. Friends, have a great rest of your Thursday. Again, if it becomes necessary, I'll be back on live. We'll cover these storms. And if nothing else, please join me at 1 o'clock tomorrow for the CFLW show for Friday. You can always watch that, of course, on the recorded version for the live tab here of the CFLW YouTube channel. As I leave, quick appreciation. Thanks for quickly hitting that like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't as of yet. And again, I'll be watching this. If I need to come back on, I will. But if nothing else, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. You guys take care. Stay safe. Stay out of this. That's for sure. See you soon.